All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. We have a powerhouse panel. We have Jez in the building. Jez, how you doing?
All good, mate. All good. Yeah. Struggling with the heat a bit. It's a bit muggy today, and there's no wind, so it's a bit sticky. But yeah, looking forward to this show.
Good. Tony, Claude, Gunner, my partner in crime. What's going on, brother?
Hey, man, it's nice to see you, Sultan Gunnar. Also, very, very nice to see Jez, also who I collaborate with most times. Kenny Ken, lovely to see you, my brother. And Warren, lovely to see you and nice to be on the show with you again. It's sunny down here in Finland. Hopefully it's sunny down there in England. And let's do this. I have lots of stuff to get off my chest today. And I'm sure many other of the guests here, have one or two things to just get out of the chest today. So nice to see you guys today.
And finally, I've been trying to do it for a while, but Kenny, we finally got you here, my man. Glad that you could join us today, man. It's so good to see you, brother.
Thank you very much for having me on. It's, as I said before, it just shows you like that, as much as tiring as a football season was, all the emotions of it, the minute, we get to a date in June, and the transfer window opens, it all comes good again. There's loads of things happening. No, everyone's got an opinion. Everyone's got blindsided. All I can say is the club have got, basically 2 months to change their minds, because the only way it's got to be up. It can't go backwards. Or it's going to be a disaster show. Next season will be a waste of time. We don't get the right players in.
All right. And of course, another brother, Warren, is in the building. Good to see you, my man.
Thank you very much for having me on, man. I'm really appreciate it, and I'm really looking forward to it, because I'm getting increasingly frustrated as each day goes past.
This is true. So let's start with the elephant in the room. This week, we all heard the news. $65 million bid was accepted for one, Kai Havertz, who has scored 19 goals in 3 years, scored one goal that won Chelsea the Champions League, and hadn't done much anything else since then. You've got top gunners, you've got super fans, you've got everyone in between. Yeah, selling this is, we've got the second coming of Dennis Bergkamp, RVP, and anyone else you want to name from the old brass. They're saying that this gentleman is coming in. He's going to fix the ship, and we're getting ready to go places. Warren, I'm going to start with you first. What's your take on this here?
I just don't understand why people are comparing him with Dennis Bergkamp. I don't get it. Or RVP. He played majority of the time in his career. He's played as a central striker, right? He's played. Where is it? I've got it here. So he's played 69 times as a centre forward, 54 times as an attacking midfielder, 9 as a right winger, and once as a left midfielder. So I don't get it. And the guy's stats are actually shocking. You know, he hardly ever scores. He scores about 20% of the time, if that. Last season, the most he's ever scored in one season is 14, which was the season before the one that's just ended. So I'm not impressed, mate. I don't know why we're looking at him. I don't understand, you know, why we're spending that amount of money on someone who's not going to improve the team, because just looking at the information I've got in front of me there on my spreadsheet, I can't see how he's going to get in the team over anyone that's sort of a regular starter in the team at the moment.
You know, the thing that blew my mind, and me and Tony, we talked about this Wednesday, I believe, is the amount of money, $65 million. Now, I want you to compare and contrast, and we'll get to Declan Rice in a little bit. $65 million was thrown out without a problem. When it comes to other players, they drag it, they drag. But in this case, it was $65 million, not even thought about. And then you ask yourself, you look at it, it's like Warren said, you look in the squad, and you're looking around and you're saying, okay, well, how does he improve what we already have? You know, we were told, gentlemen, that we're in the Champions League now. We're going to be able to attract a better grade of player. That's what they've said for years. Well, you know, when you pay $65 million, I'm looking for somebody from PSG, somebody coming from Bayern Munich, somebody coming from Real Madrid. You know, I'm looking for a better grade of player. But no, we go right back to the wishing well and we go get Chelsea players, another Chelsea reject. This is becoming a massive pattern with this regime. We go all the way back and we get used goods, and then we try to off-sell it as something that's better. Kenny, I'm gonna let you speak on it, brother.
Well, the thing about it is we're all blindsided by this, because, you know, it's basic. I think what's happening is that the people promoting this, especially certain journalists from broadsheet papers, are giving a lot of the fans open goals. There's no way that anyone can say this is a good buy. Now, look, don't get me wrong. The player is thought of very highly. You know, he's a generational talent, and I suppose he was when he was at Leverkusen. That's why Chelsea paid £70 million for him. But a lot of Arsenal fans are trying to laud this and say, yeah, we could see why we're buying him. If we're playing 4-3-3, no, you can't see how you're buying him, because at 4-3-3, he doesn't fit into the team unless he's playing the position that is occupied by Martin Odegaard. Now, all intents and purposes, you know, a lot of people fall in love with stats. The guy got 15 goals and just as many assists. So, you know, that is a very good season on Martin. Don't get me wrong, Martin disappeared in the big games for us, and that's factual. But he weren't the only one. So did Partey. But is he going to replace him? Then you look at Smith Rowe, and everyone in the club likes a younger player. He can play in that kind of Smith Rowe position. He's going to, you know, edge him out the side, and then, you know, people talking about Fabio Vieira, what happens with him? But if you change the way you play, maybe. But to say that, oh yeah, that we're getting him because he's 6'3", he's a big game player, and then when he was at Leverkusen, he played attacking midfield and he played it to great aplomb. I don't buy that. That we've been completely blindsided him. I even heard people say that Declan Rice isn't a replacement for Granit Xhaka. It's always been this guy. And I'm thinking, really? You sure? It doesn't make any footballing sense. You know, while we're buying these players, unless we change their style of play. That's the only reason. But the thing about it is that how he's able to command a transfer fee of what Chelsea played him. Again, it's one of the things where who's got the better end of the deal? Clearly Chelsea. They do business better than us. You know, we all know they need to get rid of 11 players, and it's not as if they got 11 players who are not going to make him any money. They made sure they got rid of the players who they're going to get big money from. That's clever bargaining. Now you look what Arsenal are doing, and the sort of players we know we want to get rid of. There's no way we're going to get big money for the players we really want to rid of, and that speaks volumes. But again, there seems to be a special relationship between us and Chelsea, which is akin to the relationship between the United States and United Kingdom. Only Chelsea are America, and we're the UK, where everyone knows the Americans get the better deal with the special relationship with the UK, and Chelsea have got the better deal with the relationship between us. So Arsenal, the UK, Chelsea, the United States.
I couldn't have come up with a better analogy. that was perfect. That's about right. Jed, brother, you shaking your head up there, brother. Go ahead, man. Let it rip.
Well, I think maybe Kenny's touched on a point there that maybe Arteta and the technical crew are looking to maybe change the way Arsenal play next season, and this guy's going to slot into a spot. I agree that the place he would play is where Odegaard is, but I just want to touch on this. Towards the latter part of the season last year, Arteta was making some quite strange tactical position changes in where he played some players, especially at the back. Now, what was the reason behind that? I don't know. I'm not tactically in touch with it, but I just think it's an easy buy. It's a quick and simple, easy buy by the Edu and the recruitment team. Obviously, Chelsea are looking to offload him. He hasn't done what they were expecting he was going to do. So in step Arsenal and say, okay, we'll give you 65 million for him, and then we'll sit back and wonder where we're going to play him. Now, I'm not going to diss the guy just yet, because I have never ever actually seen enough of him play. I'm not one of these players that watches every single game in the world. So I'm intrigued. I'm not going to say that. I'm intrigued as to where we're going to play him. What is he going to bring to the party? And will he deliver? I sincerely hope he does, because otherwise it's another £65 million flop. Is he any better? I ask you this. Is he any better than Nicolas Pepe? I mean, Pepe is obviously going to go. I personally, I like Pepe myself. But I don't know. I mean, I said it, we've all called it. You know, we're going into the Champions League. We need to shop at a different store now. You know, we can't keep shopping in these mid-market Poundland stores. We have to shop up and step up. And if we get Rice, then I'll say, okay, cool, we've done the business. But Havertz, I don't know. 65 million. It's a lot of money. And I think it was so easy money. We just put 65 million on the table. There's no great fight about it, was there? No. And we seem to have this affinity with Chelsea Football Club. And I don't understand that, guys. They're one of our biggest rivals in London and in the Premier League. Yet we like to do business with them continually every year. Now, I'm sorry, the only two players I've ever rated that came from Chelsea was Cech and Gallas. The rest of them were a pile of crap. And I'm hoping Kai Havertz actually turns up and actually delivers, because I'll be so disappointed. I'll support the guy once he's got that Arsenal shirt on match day. I'll support him. But if he doesn't deliver by Christmas, sorry, people, we're in shit.
Tony, brother, what's your thoughts on this, man? I know your thoughts on it, but what's your thoughts on this, brother?
See, people, yeah, you know, just listen to Kenny Ken, yeah, just listen to Jazz, like, just sample the opinions, yeah, just look at what they've just said. They've hit it, you know, where it hurts, yeah. But I pride myself in being a very fair person usually. So let's be fair to this guy. Let's just have a taste. Let's see what he's done. Yeah, his highest goal tally ever. Yeah, wasn't even in the English Premiership. It was in Bayern Leverkusen, and that was in 18-19. 18/19 season for Bayer Leverkusen, where I scored 17 goals. Yeah. The second highest was the next season, and I think that was 19/20 season. Yeah. And he scored just 12 goals. Yeah. I'm this kind of person that also equate goals scored with assist. That's the kind of person I am, because I believe if you're not scoring goals, you have to be putting up assists. Yeah. This guy's highest assist ever, it's 8. And it came in the 17 18 in the Bundesliga for Bayer Leverkusen. Yeah. That's the best he's done. So, which means his record in Chelsea, it shows that he has actually deteriorated. Yeah, he's not just that player. And then at Chelsea Football Club, is the highest goal he has scored ever was in the 2021-2022 season, where he scored 8 goals, and the assist was 3. The highest assist this guy's ever had in the Premiership is just 3. Yeah, in the first 3 seasons, it got 3 assists in the first season, 3 assists in the second season, and this past season just 1. So, in what alternative reality did Arsenal find this guy worthy for 65 million to be spent on this guy? I'm sorry. It amazes me, and the problem this causes is that it will bring lots of murmurings, in the dressing room, because we have Trossard, who came in, scored a couple of goals in March, never had a start. Yeah, in April, and this guy can play multiple positions in the striker position. You can even tuck him right at the back of a main striker in the same role that Odegaard normally plays. And that's why we're bringing in Kai Havertz. I don't understand this dynamic. It amazes me. I don't know. This type of thing have a way of kind of coming back to bite people back. He might be very, very motivated. That's another thing. Yeah, because people are not expecting him to really, put up a shift at Arsenal or, recreate magic. But again, if your statistics ain't good, that's what the general opinion about you will be. So he has to come into the football club. He's now our player. Yeah, he will come into the football club. We'll back him. We'll give him the full backing. But I'm sorry, just like Jess said, if he doesn't put up numbers, I'm talking of assists, I'm talking of the way he plays, how he helps the team. Yeah. If he doesn't put up numbers that is worthy of 65 million pounds, then I'm sorry. Questions need to be asked. Because from the get-go, this deal stinks. It reeks of corruption. I'm sorry. Because I'm tired of Arsenal. Bro, Matt, me and you talked about this, lengthily. We discussed about this in our personal our phone call. Yeah. Why has Chelsea Football Club become that club that Arsenal goes in to get their pensioners, to get the bad grapes, to get the sour grapes from that team? Why does Arsenal have to be at the back end of this horrible signings from that team? Yeah, horrible. We go in to get Mason Mount, and they say, "Hey, no, we're not telling him to you. Instead, we looked there and we decided to go get Kai Havertz." For me, completely doesn't make sense. And again, I really want to see the dynamics through which Mikel Arteta wants to function with Kai Havertz. It will interest me very, very much to see how he wants to play with Kai Havertz. I want to see if he's going to, Kai Havertz is that kind of player, yeah. He can multitask. He's versatile. That's one thing about him that I would give to him. He's a very, very, versatile player. He could play, at the top of the front three. He could play in a 3-pronged midfield, both left and tucked in the middle where Odegaard plays in. So he's a very dynamic player. I truly understand this. But the way Mikel Arteta wants to use him, that is where the contention is for me. I really want to see how he's going to utilize this guy. But for me, I've kind of like checked all alternatives. And I'm sorry, I just don't see Kai Havertz fitting into our gameplay. I just can't fathom why we have this player down here.
Yeah, that was my thing. Is you had Madison over there at Leicester. You could have went in for him. You had Onana was over there as well. I mean, we all of us we've all talked about Sassedo. We know for a fact that the club went in for Sassedo in January. We know this. And what the thing that really upset me about this was that $65 million plus you sell some deadwood, you can go get Sassedo. That's the problem solved. But instead, it's like Jez said, this is Edu being Edu. Oh, if it's the easiest way out, I'll take that. I'll do the buyout. I'll get a player that don't nobody else wants. Because you didn't hear anybody else saying they were coming in for Havertz. You didn't hear anything about Man City was lurking in the background for Havertz. You didn't hear anything about Bayern Munich was looking at bringing him in. That was just a little blip radar about Real Madrid. But we all know Real Madrid wasn't looking at bringing in Kai Havertz for the money that we paid for him. This was really a $15 to $20 million signing based off of his output, based off of what he's done over the last few years. It's a ripoff, and that's another thing. Why don't people come in? Why don't we see our players, seeing that El Nene is going out the door for $35 million, $55 million, $65 million? You see these absorbent prices that we're paying. We're paying for everybody else's rubbish. Top dollar, and it's year in and year out. Can I see you shaking your head down there, brother?
You give me some food for thought regarding these players, because if we look at yesteryear, certain players like and I'll put O'Neill in that category, although he hasn't asked to be left yet. But you remember, you only have to look at the times when we were trying to get rid of Almunia and Eboué, to the extent that clubs weren't taking them on because their salaries are really high at Arsenal. So it was a situation where we were paying them off, them up, as well as and then giving them free champions. And I think that's the same sort of thing. I don't know if we're going to come to this later, but another elephant, which probably is a forgotten elephant, is because you look at Thomas Partey. If you before the Liverpool game, Thomas Partey was their best player, and that wasn't in dispute. Then all of a sudden he's lost form. If he's been dropped, and rightly so, but he wasn't the only player that was strong. Yet all of a sudden, Arsenal are listening to offers for Thomas Partey, who, a few months before we're comparing him with Casemiro. We were blindsided Rodri because we thought, well, tell Rodri we got Thomas Partey, and that was justified. Now we're listening to offers for Thomas Partey. Question you have to ask yourselves: one of the hidden parts of football which people discount is clauses. Do certain players have clauses in their contracts?
Could be.
Does Thomas Partey have a clause in his contract? Is Thomas Partey forcing a move? Is he annoyed by the way he felt scapegoated by the manager when he was left out? Is he annoyed that he's been tried at right back?
Yeah. People forget. Yeah, you're right about that, Ken. I completely forgot about the last part of the season where we were these experimental formations there.
Mm.
Yeah.
Matt, can I just ask a question?
Absolutely.
This is something I've been thinking about for a couple of weeks. I don't know how the Arsenal makeup is anymore, but it used to be that a manager would go and say, well, with the scouts, important fact there, people, he would look at what the scouts are recommending and he'd say, okay. And he would then say to the board, let's put an offer in for him. Let's put an offer in for him. Let's put an offer in for him. And see how we do. I don't know if that's the case. I mean, does Arteta now go to our director of football, Edu, and the rest of the gang and say, right, I want these players? Or are these Edu's picks? Is it Edu as the director of football that makes these choices now, and Arteta doesn't really have an input. Now, I throw that in there because I find it interesting in the fact that Edu does these deals, and I never ever see anything from Arteta saying, well, this is the player that I was after. We used to see it from Wenger. We used to see it from George Graham. This is a player I've been looking at. This is a player we've been after. We've been scouting him. One of the biggest problems Arsenal Football Club currently has, we don't have any bloody scouts. We got rid of them all.
Yeah. Yep.
In the COVID situation. So who is actually scouting these bloody players? It's got to be Edu and his clowns. So is anybody really asking Arteta and saying, who do you actually want, mate? Who's on your radar? Who do you want to come in? Who do you need to strengthen these positions? So I have to question this, and I'd love you, Matt, to ask the rest of the panel, because I actually have to say I think there's something absolutely fundamentally rotten in our way we do these negotiation transfer, because I don't actually think Arteta sometimes wants these players. Personally.
Well, you look at the players that we bring in, and I mean, and I know this is going to sound harsh, but y'all know me, I've got to be harsh. Are you telling me that Mikel Arteta, and I'm just being hypothetical, went to Edu and said, hey man, this Vieira kid, I have got to have this guy. He's 35 million. Oh well, yeah, we got to sign him on up. That in January, we're in the middle of a title run. Hey man, let's get Kivior. This guy's the future. We're in the middle of a title run, and this guy, we splashed that kind of amount of money on a player like that. Just look at the transfers. And there's some truth in what you said, Jez, because you have to ask yourself, and this is why I'm so hard on the manager. People say, why are you so hard on Arteta? Because if I'm trying to win and I'm trying to get the best player possible to get me over the line, then if it keeps happening over and over where I'm not getting it, I've got to come out and say, you know what? I'm not being supported. It's no different than what Conte does when he starts raising Cain about the players he's not getting. Warren, you've been stewing down there, brother. I'm gonna let you have a say on that right there.
Well, the thing that strikes me about it is, if we sacked all our scouts, how the hell are we identifying players as being people of interest to the club?
Super fans.
But seriously, do you know what I mean? How are we identifying them? Because for me, the best way to assessing the player is the eye test. It's not YouTube reels. It's not watching them, clips of them on Match of the Day or stuff like that, because watching it on a TV screen is completely different. When you're watching a game, when you're there live, you can see everything else that's going on around the whole pitch. And you can't see that properly when you're looking at it off a screen or a computer or something like that. And that's why I'm going on about the eye test. And I just do not understand, one, how we're assessing who it is we need to bring in. Who is it, like Jez said, who's involved in the process and how much influence they have? I've heard that there's a transfer committee and that Mikel Arteta is part of it, but it's baffling, because on the same token, I heard a while ago as well that there was a conflict between Edu and Arteta over signings, particularly when Thomas Partey came into the club, because Arteta wanted that guy, what was his name? The Hungarian chap, Awar or whatever his name was.
Awesome Awar.
Dispute between the two of them about which one we were going to go for. So who has the final say? Who else is on this so-called committee? And how much say do they have in who the final target is? And how are these players being assessed? Because as well, back in the day, managers would call each other up and have a chat about players and say, what's he like? Is he a good trainer? Does he get on well with the rest of his colleagues? And all this sort of carry on, and all these things would get taken into account. I just don't understand what's going on, because I have to say I'm not particularly impressed with the recruitment. Because why are we going for this? And I'll go back to this Kai Havertz. We have got bigger, use the word fish to fry, but it's true.
Bigger fish to fry.
Fish to fry in this transfer market than buying Kai Havertz, who doesn't seem to have a logical position to fill on the pitch. We need to get reinforcements at the back. We need to get a world-class striker. And this fella, Kai Havertz, is not a world-class striker. He's not. He never has been. And as far as I can see, he never will be. So I just do not understand how these people are being assessed. And I don't understand what the process is and them identifying them or any of the below. I just don't get it. I just find it absolutely baffling. How, if we haven't got scouts, how can it be done? That's what I want someone to explain to me, because for me, the scouting system is really, really important. And particularly when we're not bringing players up through the youth team. We haven't had a player come in and I think I might be wrong, I don't know, but I don't think we've had a player come up from the youth team since Saka and Emil Smith-Rowe came in. And Arsenal always used to bring players up through the youth team. We had Rocky Rocastle, Martin Hayes, Niall Quinn.
We had a 16-year-old last year against Brentford.
Sorry, mate?
We had a 16-year-old play against Brentford.
Well, no, that's true. But, I mean, Jez, it used to happen all the time, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
Tony Adams and all the rest of it.
Tony Adams, yeah.
But it's just, I just don't get it.
Yeah.
See, we need to understand the power dynamics in everything that's going on. Yeah, the Cronkies, they've given up. I saw something in the chart. Yeah, Cronkies only have from Gary Joseph. Cronkies only have money for the train track they're building in the US. They don't care about Arsenal. Gunnar ER also says Cronkies have given Arteta 700 million. See, the scouting system, as we know, this is the Jez, and that's a very good question, because I think people need to know why the scouting system isn't working. The truth is that scouting networks all around the world, most football clubs have laid their scouting system moribund. It's more of a redundancy kind of a thing going on down there in that scouting system. That's because it's quite expensive to actually pay off all these scouts and they are networking all over the world, and you're not getting the goods. So that's the bigger problem. That's the bigger picture. So instead of spending all that money on scouts, and on people that would be creating networks for the goods that are not being used, clubs just prefer to just get the ready-made players and to come in and win a trophy. And to be very sincere with you, that's what the bigger clubs in Europe have been doing, for some time now. Real Madrid just goes get Camavinga right there. They don't need to put him through any scouting network. That's how the modern game is done. But Arsenal, that has pride themselves in having a very, very efficient scouting system. I'm not talking of in the last 10, 15 years, but I'm talking of at least 30 years ago, 20 years ago. We didn't have a very big, robust scouting system. But the thing there right now is that rather than changing to this power dynamic that bigger clubs just go in and just get players, why can't we just phase it out in a very efficient way. There's an efficient way of phasing things out. It's just like climate change. You have to phase things out. Just ease people through it, ease your club through it. And I'm sorry, Arsenal have thrown away the tradition. Our scouting system used to be one of the most heralded in the league. And right now, there's no chain of command, no easy way to just phase out. And that's the problem we're having. Yeah. So we need to bring back that system, but yet we need to have a different way, a power dynamic, and an economical way that we can be able to balance up scouts in the system, working for the football club, and knowing when to go and get gems that you can get directly. That's just how to do it. But I should admit that the scouting system is a moribund system, a redundant system in getting players. People just go in and get the players. But this is where the bigger problem is. We have clowns out there as negotiators negotiating for Arsenal. So even that second system can't even work. Our negotiators, Arsenal negotiators, are one of the most mocked negotiators doing business in this business, not even in the league. We'll be mocked everywhere we go. Brighton will be mocked. Chelsea Football Club can't believe. They can't believe their luck. How Arsenal is paying almost 80% of what they spent on Kai Havertz with no discount. These guys can't believe their luck. So we're in a system where we don't have scouts and we have clowns like Eddie and the rest of them who are down there that don't know. They don't have a clue of what they're doing. Yeah, they have no clue. They have complete no clue of what's going on down there. So it's a big problem. I'm sorry, it's a mess. So you can't get effective players in that kind of mess, right?
Well, the thing about it is that the problem with Arsenal, whenever they feel they're the only club in the market for a player, that's when the negotiating skills let them down. We saw what happened with Modric when they thought that they're the only ones, in for Modric. And we saw the same thing with Caicedo, although Brighton were somehow determined not to let him go. It was Caicedo who was pushing for that move. And we're seeing it again with Declan Rice as well. But the way I look at it right now is that, Arsenal have never adjusted to the fact that when we were strong, and we're talking 20 years ago, the 90s, early 2000s, we virtually had the French market to ourselves. Not just the French market, we had the overseas market, particularly players in Brazil and those areas for ourselves. Clubs have caught up and gone past us now. The Arsenal model, believe it or not, was working. The reason why we know it's working is because teams with more money have copied everything we've done. Let's not forget, if you look at Chelsea's Cobham training ground, that is a carbon copy of what we see at Arsenal Colney. Remember, Chelsea's training ground was a mess. I've played there at Hayes and Harlington. So what's happened now is that people have looked at the Arsenal model, saw that at the time it was us and Man United. Man United had Fergie's fledglings with I think that guy Parkinson as well, Brian Kidd, and they're looking at Arsenal as well, where let's see the Arsenal model. And now, first Newcastle, remember they've got a march on the French players. Every club's moved on, but the biggest elephant in the room is that we're looking at a situation now is that whether we like it or not, the process is over. So because the process is over, we've got to be in a market where we have to be able to go into auctions for the best players available. It doesn't matter whether it's City going from Newcastle and the big teams. That's what we're doing. We know Newcastle is strengthening. They've got a player who doesn't really want to go to them, but he's thought to be the best player in Italy, in Tognoli. He's going there. We know Liverpool already got McAllister. We know Man City are probably getting them. Nick Kovacic of Chelsea. Obviously after Declan Rice as well, which is we haven't even gone there yet. But the thing is, if Arsenal want to compete and stay off the challenge of the clubs that finish below them and who may go past them, you have to operate in the big markets. And, it's on everyone. Everyone who's part of that transfer committee, you can't just blame they do. Mikel Arteta is the team manager. So he's on that transfer committee. So's Josh. So's Vinay, who's the chief executive. And so's Per Mertesacker. All of them all part of this. They're all part of this. You know, if they're not going to apply the scouting system we had before with Jules Grimmondi, all 5 of them have to be doing their work and then instructing them. This is what we need and what we need to get. It's all a committee. They'll all be discussing that. But the situation is, you know, the biggest elephant in the room is FFP. Are the club not telling us that you know that we got FFP? You know, like I said, you know, considerations, because you know we're all talking about Balogun's raising his ugly head. I want to start games. I'm an US international, although I think that the club will be aggrieved at that because they know they can get more money from him as an England international. That's an elephant. Then we've got Eddie Nketiah, who hasn't proved to be value of money. He's now unsettled, I'm hearing. And he's looking to he needs assurances. Thomas Partey, for some reason, doesn't want to play for us no more, because something's annoyed him. So these are all situations where we're talking about incomings, but I think the club are just as much, you know, having discussions about outgoings from the club. I think that at the moment that seems to be probably more important to them than getting the players in, because we don't know what's going on. If someone could tell us what the situation is with FFP, if we got certain players we need to get rid of, do we need to sell this and that? You know, I'm not hearing about players like Grant Xhaka leaving the club. I mean, we gave him virtually the guard of honour. He's still here.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
You know, Kenny, you bring up a good point, and Monty, I'm gonna come over to you in just a second. You said departures. Now, this is something I've been banging on all summer. The amount of money we get on players going out the door at this football club, it makes me want to slap a cat. I mean, last year, 23 million euros is all we made on about 12 players rolling out this club. That in itself is sackable. We don't make any money. It's like I said, Chelsea, 65, 75, 80, you know, as Tony said, 80% of what they paid for Kai Havertz, we have literally paid it back to them. Our players, we don't sell players. We reward $100,000 for Eddie Nketiah. And now you're looking around. He's up, like Kenny said, he's upset. I want to, you know, make sure I'm going to play. When you should have sold him last year, you should have moved him on. He should have been moved on. Florian Balogun, you know, we'll come to him in a little bit. You know, Thomas Partey, El Nene. When it was time to get rid of him, you didn't get rid of him. You know, we're buying players that we're not even Austin Trusty, players that don't even put on the kit, and they come in, they go, and they leave. We never see them. You know, just wasteless money is being spent. You know, you look at these deals. You know, Edu throwing all this big time money at players that we're really not getting any return on. Fabio Vieira, I'll be the first to say it. Move him on. If he's not going, you say, you know what, we took a hit on this one. Let's try to get something for him and move on, instead of just holding on to him and he doesn't pan out, and then next thing you know, he's stuck and we're paying him to leave. And that's something else that, Kenny, that we've been doing the last couple of years, is we've been paying players to leave, or what they said they were not going to do is run down contracts. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, we all know at one point the teams were looking at paying pretty good money for him. Arteta said, no, I want to keep him. And keep him for what? He never used him. And so now you loan him out, he's gone for free. So that's another asset that you had is off the books. So I just, you know, it's just shocking the way we handle our business coming in, but more importantly going out, because I just feel like we either hold on too long, or we do not get the amount of money that we need to get for players to fund other transfers. And that's what Chelsea's doing right now. I think, 5 players this week they sold? They sold 5 players in 1 week. And literally, regardless of how people say they did it, that's beyond the point. They've gotten rid of dead wood in one day, and now they can go out and get what they need to compete. And by the way, I'll just put this out there before we move on, is that we're funding the Salcedo deal for him going to Chelsea, by the way. So just remember, we put the down payment for them to do that. Monty, welcome to the panel, brother. How you doing this morning?
Yeah, first of all, good morning to you, Mr. Odom, and good afternoon to everyone else in the panel. Let me apologize for being late. Lateness is not greatness, contrary to what a certain famous Arsenal YouTuber might say. I was supposed to have a nap and I overslept. I was supposed to wake up on time. I didn't. Please forgive me, every one of you. And you know, I want to actually sort of piggyback on what Kenny was talking about when he says that you know, the model was working several years ago, but now we're in a situation where everyone has to be on it. And I don't even know. I would like to think that the manager would be in on it, because one of the biggest issues I have, and I'm sure everyone will agree with me on this, is that a lot of people are very eager to sort of give Arteta the benefit of doubt, saying, you know, he's come in to this job and he's done pretty well, but he doesn't deserve blame for the poor activity in the transfer market because he's pretty much a greenhorn manager. But I can't agree with that, and I can't really abide by that, because by now he's completed 3 full seasons with us, let's not forget. And now, having proven his worth, as it were, by taking us to a second place finish last season, although we all know that he had the opportunity to win it only to completely, you know, muck it up. He now has to be in a situation where he needs to demand a little bit more, because he has to be a part of that committee. And yet, with what's going on, why aren't we hearing a peep out of him? Why aren't we hearing stories of Arteta going to the committee, to Edu in particular, and saying, lads, what are you doing? This isn't what we need. How many bids have we submitted for Declan Rice already, and have had both turned down? And now Manchester City might just slide in for him with an offer that we just can't make. What's wrong with us? Why are we only able to secure a deal for Kai Havertz and pay top money for him? As you've mentioned, Matt, why can't we sell our players for more money, or at least find an opportunity to, you know, at least move them on and get a little bit more for them? The best piece of business we've done ever since the FA Cup final win was sell our goalkeeper, our hero, Emiliano Martinez, for about 20 million quid. And that was used to partially fund the party transfer, for crying out loud. And now there's talk about him possibly wanting to leave. I don't know how much dosh, or how much moolah, as you would say, we're going to get for him. It's as if the people involved at Arsenal have no idea of basic arithmetic, or the basic principle of diminishing returns when it comes to players, or how there doesn't seem to be any sort of talent ID going on as to what we can possibly get. Because if you're so thrifty that you want to try to save money and get better bang for your buck, as you would say, why aren't you looking elsewhere? Why aren't you trying to actively show that you are serious about getting some talent? So it's utter cluelessness at the top, and it's filtering all the way down, and we can't even excuse Arteta from any of this. So at one particular point, as our esteemed panel will agree, Arsenal were the model of financial efficiency, where we were making a lot more money and we were able to get a lot more money for our players, even if we had to sell some of our best players for you know, to try and balance our books. At least we were at one point getting you know, good money for them. Now I really don't know what seems to be going on. So I think it was Warren in one of his videos who said there needs to be an audit at the club, and that is one thing that really needs to happen. We need to see what's going on with the club's finances, why they're not able to raise more money when it comes to player sales, and just find out what really is going on there. And the sooner that happens, the better, because it's leaving fans like all of us just scratching our heads and wondering what's going on. And the top gooners just don't seem to care as long as the good vibes are maintained. But the thing about fans like us, as you would say, you can't urinate on our backs and tell us it's raining.
This is true. This is true. So, Jazz, I want to bring this up here. Chris says, I'm disappointed with Arsenal this transfer window. If they were serious about Declan Rice, this deal would have been done and dusted. Jazz, I'm going to bring it to you. My thing here with this Declan Rice deal is West Ham told us from the start they wanted $100 million. Arsenal showed up. Me and Lee was talking this week, and Lee said, "Matt, do you realize that we bid $80 million and then we circle back and be at 75 million. I didn't think about it. And I said, Lee, you know what? You're right. Only Arsenal would be stupid enough to be at 80 million and then come back and then be at 75 million. And that's going to change something. JS, it's got to be crazy to sit here and watch how much time we waste on transfers. We waste time, weeks. And here we are. They're talking third bid imminent. As one person said in the chat, it's going in the microwave. So here we go. Here we go. No pun intended. This third bid, Declan Rice. Why do we waste so much time, Jay?
Well, I think the problem here is I've said it for this isn't a new thing at Arsenal. I mean, we have to go back. We can go back decades. It's the Arsenal way. We've always liked to pontificate, to get the cheap deal, to get it over the line. But unfortunately, in modern football now in Europe, it can't happen. And I said earlier, apparently the third bid, I'm led to believe, has gone in to West Ham. Declan Rice wants to come to Arsenal, apparently. He wants to come to North London, was the statement I read. How true that is, I can't quantify. But we have the vulture sat there on the branch, sat there, waiting to come and jump. Man City. Man City have a total different philosophy. If they want the player, they'll just say, how much do you want? Right, okay, there's the money. Send the player. We'll send a private jet. We'll get him in. We'll get him done his medical, and we'll announce it on Monday. Now, I actually said Thursday night on a show, Arsenal will put a bid in on Saturday. I said it, and they have. So, what is that bid going to be? Is it going to be, right, West Ham, £100 million, and we'll throw in Eddie Nketiah for nothing because apparently West Ham want to sign him. That's the rumour. Well done. Good. You can have him because he's a waste of space at Arsenal Football Club. Is this going to actually happen? I'm not convinced. My biggest concern here is Edu and that transfer committee, whoever they are, will again have put in something like 95 million plus 15 million add-ons, which possibly would get the deal over the line. Possibly. But if you've got a club that will come in and say £100 million plus £10 million on add-ons, who's going to get the deal done? It frustrates me so much that we have to go down this protracted road. Then you have there's other teams behind us. Chelsea, notoriously, Liverpool. They'll just keep it quiet. They'll just negotiate. They'll talk to the player. They'll talk to the agent. They'll talk to the club, get permission, and it's announced. Next Wednesday, Liverpool have signed this bloke for £55 million. Unknown. And we think, where's that come from? One of the biggest problems I see with Arsenal Football Club nowadays, everything is so public. If you look back in the time, Kenny, you'll know this one. All of us will. When you had the ilk of Hillwood and you had David Dean, none of it was public. Now I know the internet, social media was nothing like it was today. It wasn't even so much around. But it was none of this in the press. Arsenal might be in for so-and-so. Arsenal might be in for so-and-so. Arsenal might be. Every single week, we see Arsenal looking at this play, looking at this play, looking at this play, looking at this play. And you're thinking, what the bloody hell is going on? It happens every window. We enter all these players, and then we sign someone we've never heard of, Fabio Vieira. What's that about? Now, if we're honestly seriously, I'm going to shut up now. If we're honestly seriously about Declan Rice
Mm.
And this third bid's gone in, Kenny. I just hope it is the one that says, okay, this is what we're Arsenal. We're knocking on your door. This is the deal. And we're going to give you the 100 mil plus whatever else is on it. And let's get it done. Let's get it done. Let's do the deal on Monday morning. Let's get him, have his medical, and it's done. Simple.
100%. The thing about it, Jez, you know, people think that, you know, Havertz.
Okay.
It's just the beginning. There's loads. You can't just get two players. We've got to look at other players in terms of there's other services. You can day. Arteta's been messing around with. He clearly feels he's got a problem at left back because, you know, he doesn't want Tierney. He wants someone who could deputise for Zinchenko as his first choice. At right back, the fact that Thomas Partey's playing at right back means he's got an issue there. So that's another situation. Plus, he's got a problem in centre half. So there's other situations. But the problem is that I think the thing about it is that we seem to forget because of the internet is so prevalent. There was life before the end. Don't get me wrong. Remember back in the 80s, and Warren, you remember this, and Jez, you'll definitely remember this. Remember there was a paper war between the Mirror and the Sun. So the speculation was just as rife. The only time I remember us going publicly for a player not getting it was Tony Cottee in '88. When Tony Cottee was leaving West Ham, it's between us and Everton, and he went and said that he wanted to join West Ham or Everton to win trophies. And then then 9 months later, we win the league at Anfield. So, Tony, what a mistake you made. But I think what it is nowadays is that in a day, the internet is full of a lot of speculation. The other day, people have to make their money. YouTube's got to make money. You know, experts like Fabrizio have to make money. I'm sure when he gets invited on shows, obviously he gets his thing. But the thing about it is that, you know, you're right. Business has to be done quietly. But the problem is that if you're a top club, and Arsenal are a top club, a massive, massive club, you know, massive clubs want to win the Champions League. Massive clubs want to win the Premiership. So if you want to win all these silverware, other players are going to be interested in, because I can think of about 3 or 4 clubs where in the Premiership alone where Declan Rice would be a great acquisition. So, as you said before, you know, the issue is the FFP regulations, how much we're giving them up front and how much they want. You know, 120 million is 120 million. It doesn't mean anything else. And if Man City comes to the market, then the price will go up. But Arsenal just have to get used to it now. Have to get used to it. You know, you can't go on like, oh yeah, we're young boys. We haven't got experience of that. Of course, you've got experience of it. You're a big club. Let's not forget, just to get the top 4, you're paying players, paying huge fees just to get in the top 4. You're paying huge salaries to certain players so you can got a chance to get the top 4. So you can do that when you're trying to get the top 4. You can do that to try and win a championship. Because let me tell you something now, the top 4, we've moved on from that. That's like old news now. It's about trying to win the league next season and trying to win a Champions League. I'm not having the last 16 and saying, well, yeah, it's their first time. Tough. Man City haven't had that much experience being in the Champions League. They've got to 2 finals. And under Pep, they've got primarily, the lowest they've probably got is a quarter-final, normally it's semi-finals. Let's not talk about Liverpool's record in the Champions League on the clock. Let's not talk about Tottenham's record in the Champions League. Man, if you go, pound per pound, in boxing terms, is a lot better than ours. So there's loads of things we need to do to improve. But one thing we've got to do is the mentality, top 4 mentality has to stop. If you have a top 4 mentality, expect to be playing Thursday nights again. Because there's about a lot of clubs. There's only 4 clubs can get in that top 4, and the other 2 are Europa League. Or maybe someone from outside the top 6 can come in and take Europa League or even a Champions League spot. It's doable. You know what I mean?
Tony, your thoughts, brother?
Fact.
Yeah, sorry, please. I just want to say something on what Jez said, because I find it to be very, very important. And it's something that has not really been explored that much. But Brother Matt, you've been exploring it for some weeks now. And it's what Jez talked about this. When we want to go for signings, the news is out there. It's out there. It's everywhere. And I really do think it makes complete sense, because if Arsenal is going for this player, everyone knows about it. if Arsenal is going for players in South America, it's already in the news, even before the negotiations start. This kind of things hurts Arsenal. It harms Arsenal in the transfer window. We can't even have or shield any of all these players that want to come in secrecy. And it's very hard for us to actually go on negotiating with these clubs because the news is out there. And when the news is out there, they already know that Arsenal, they don't take us seriously, these clubs, they don't. So when they come for negotiations, they would just use Arsenal coming in for those negotiations to hype up the price, because they know we're not so serious. And everything is always out there. And mind you, this also informs the PR system that Arsenal uses also. So invariably, it's also a blessing and a curse for Arsenal at the same time, because it is through the same PR system that Arsenal can, just put that news through, that Arsenal is going for Kai Havertz, to sample the opinion of Arsenal fans and see whether they would accept it. And when it becomes acceptable, they go in for that. And that's how it works for Arsenal. I could even see lots of Arsenal fans having a jamboree. Brother Matt, we talked about this. Arsenal fans having a jamboree that Kai Havertz is already down here. But see, Arsenal signings or Arsenal negotiating is always out there, and that's always been a big problem for Arsenal. I would really like us to have a secrecy enshrouded in every deal we do, even if it comes out. Let's not just put everything out there. I think it's really harming the club and harming the way we do our business.
Yeah. You remember when Sol Campbell came in? It was people. They thought he was coming. They were unsure. It was, and then he just shows up, and it's like, oh my God, Arsenal pulled that off. Those days I hadn't seen a shocking transfer from Arsenal like that, the one that make you catch your breath, in decades. Because, like he said, our business is out there and everybody knows it. And it's like I told TJ last week. People when Arsenal comes to the negotiation table, Arsenal thinks they're laughing with people. No. They're laughing at you because they already know what's getting ready to happen. I mean, this Declan Rice deal is the carbon copy. We get the player, all is well. But like I said, West Ham said, we want $100 million from the start. $100 million. They've been saying this since January. And then you show up with 3 bids. There's no reason we should even be bidding 3 times. It should be, here's the money. We're going to call your bluff. If you say you want 100, we're going to put 100 down there and we're going to see what you do. Now, after that, if you decide you want to go up and down, then that's on you. But you initially said 100 million. We're bringing out the checkbook and we're putting down 100 million right here on the table and let's go. So, fellas, let's move on here to another elephant here. We've got a certain striker who was ripping it up in France. Decided he wanted to wear the American colors. I got a chance to watch him on Sunday. And looks like a striker to me. As Warren was talking about the eye test, my eye test showed me a powerful striker who has grown over his loan in France. It looks pretty good. Now, there were reports this week saying that he is in Mikel Arteta's plans, but because me and TJ know how this American marketing system works, and Monty does as well, I'll tell you what's about to happen. Let you in on a secret. We're probably going to keep Balogun all the way through this American tour because they got to make some money. They're going to splash that cash. They're going to make every bit of money. He's going to play on the games. They're going to pack it out. Balogun. Boumbaye. They're going to be celebrating. Balogun, Boumbaye. They're going to be celebrating. And as soon as we get to the end of August, into Milan, somebody's going to come in with a $45 million bid. He's out the door. And then we're going to be sitting here looking at how do we let this happen again like we had with Serge Gnabry. We all remember how that went. Why is it that we can see quality players, but the football club, Warren, cannot see quality football players? Warren, I'm going to let you have this one.
For me, I just think it goes back to that a lot of the people in positions of power haven't got a clue what they're doing. It's just simple and as basic as that. I'm not joking, but there are people in this fan base who could do better jobs than the people that they're employed to do the jobs that they're being employed to do, if that makes sense. Because I have got absolutely zero confidence in any of these people that are in positions of power in this club to do what they're supposed to be doing. And the other issue is that the men at the top, they're not interested. They're not interested in making this club successful. They've shown it time and time again, time and time and time again. And that's why we never see them. They just allow these people to run amok and just do whatever they want. And so that's for me why it is that they come across as not being able to see what we can see. But then there again, there's also are there issues going on in the background that we don't know about? For example, this issue is Thomas Partey. I just don't understand how we can go from a situation with him where he, for a large part of the season, was one of, if not our best player in the team, to where now we're trying to do everything we can to get him out the door. It just does not make any sense, because when he went out of the team, when he wasn't playing last season, the whole team just seemed to fall apart. The performances went down the pan, and if we don't get this Declan Rice fella, I really don't know what's going to happen. And we're letting this Thomas Partey go out the door, yet we're quite happy to keep hold of Mohamed El Neni. I just don't understand it. I just do not understand how that makes any sense whatsoever. The only thing I can think of is maybe there has been a falling out with between Thomas Partey and one or more of the senior management team, i.e. Mikel Arteta, Edu. I just don't understand it. And it's because Arsenal, for me, it's like, how would I describe it? It's like like in the 70s and 80s and the 60s and what have you, we had the Iron Curtain and, the communist bloc countries. It's like their secret service trying to get information out of Arsenal or get any sort of transparency from them. It's just virtually impossible. It's like trying to get blood out of a stone. And in some points, that's a good thing. It's particularly, with our transfer dealings, but that's the leakiest part of it. But honestly, mate, I really haven't got a clue about it. I find it quite depressing. I can't understand what the situation is with this Thomas Partey, why there seems to be no transparency, and why it is that there seem to be these crazy decisions constantly being made all the time. In recent years, it just doesn't make any sense. Like nonsensical decisions all the time. Like, for example, like another one, this situation with Kieran Tierney. It just doesn't, it beggars belief. I just don't understand it. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting old and I just don't understand modern football. But
Arsenal make you think you're going crazy, man. Trust me. Arsenal will make you
honestly sometimes think I'm losing the plot, because I look at it and I just do not understand it at all.
Kenny.
But to be very fair, this Thomas Partey issue, I think it stems from legal issues facing in the UK. So if it was me, I would stay far away from that argument anyway. So I just really think he's going through lots of legal issues right now. Mind you, it plagued him at the start of the season. He was actually one of our best players this season. That's how our season has gone this season, for him to even be one of the best players this season. But I'm sorry, I think he has legal issue with the judicial system down there in the UK. And I think he wants to take flight. Right now, I'm hearing that £15 million. Guys, £15 million is what Juventus is willing to throw to Arsenal as a bone to get Thomas Partey out of the football club. I heard that they're talking to other clubs in Saudi Arabia, but I think he's not just ready yet to go to Saudi Arabia. So I think he's really looking on heading to Italy. So I don't know. But as for England, I think he didn't have any problem with the board or whatever. I think it stems from legal issues he's facing, or that he has been facing in England, and he still has cut date to show up for in England also. So that that's also on the agenda also. So I think he has grown frustrated and tired about what's really going on, and he wants to bail out.
Well, you know what? I have this. This is my take on the Partey deal. Is if they want to move him on, that's all good. But my problem is I know what's going to happen. We're not going to buy and do what we need to do with the money. And I think we all know that. If you're going to get that kind of money, that money needs to be redirected. Salcedo, go, get you Savage, go get you exactly what you need to go into that position. But this regime has shown us time and time again, gentlemen, that they are not competent enough to actually go do exactly what needs to be done with the money. Kenny, we've got Florian Balogun, and this is going to probably heat up in the next couple of weeks about what's the future going to be going forward. What's your thoughts on this? How to handle this situation?
Well, thinking about it's a tricky situation because Florian Balogun, in essence, is basically opening the door for him to leave the club by opting for the United States rather than England, because everyone knows that in terms of him playing for England, there's commercial opportunities for himself playing for England. Also, we command a bigger fee if he declares for England. Now he doesn't declare for England; he declared for the USA, and I can understand him doing that because you're going to be hosting the tournament in 3 years' time, and there's a pathway for him to start games. So he's done that for his personal ambition. But what will happen now is that the club does what's more attractive to the club? Florian Balogun of Arsenal England or Florian Balogun of Arsenal and USA. That is a financial situation. So by him, the thing you and TJ mentioned about him, playing in the pre-season. Two things happened in the pre-season. We can only have to look at what happened with Saliba. He had a brilliant pre-season. He looked really good in pre-season alongside Gabriel Magalhaes. What happened? Went straight into the team. That could happen here. You can never rule anything out because we have now seen evidence of it happening. Ideally, he has the sort of pre-season that that Saliba has. He makes us. We go into the pre-season game, obviously the Community Shield. Come the game against Nottingham Forest, he's starting games. Alongside probably Kai Havertz. That's the ideal situation of the whole situation. But the situation we think that may happen is that the player will put in a transfer request. He will put in a transfer request and say, "Look, I want out," because he believes he has to be starting games. And under this current formation, I can't see him starting games. If we universally believe that we can't if we play 4-3-3, then whatever system we're playing, the main man's going to be Jesus. Problem.
Yeah.
Balogun wants to play in that position. He wants to be a striker. Balogun, in essence, is behind Eddie Nketiah, who can't get a game because Jesus is the main man. And if we try to play like a false number 9, then we'll play Trossard position. We play everyone. So it's a difficult situation where pre-season has to be the litmus test, or like last season was a litmus test for Saliba. That's how we're going to judge it. Me personally, if we're still going to be playing the same formation during pre-season and Jesus features a lot, then I think the best thing for the football club is to sell, because we will be getting good money for him. You know, someone who scores the amount of goals he scored in the French league will be attracted to other, clubs in the UK, because we don't have to sell to, like I said, Spain, Italy, France, even. If we sell to the highest bidder, we don't have to sell. But if we feel we have to sell, then we sell quickly and use that money to in other areas. Personally, it's a problem that I'm glad we're having. I'm glad we are having a discussion. I'm glad there is an alternative to Eddie Nketiah, who's proved to be average. He ain't done much wrong, but he's just not good enough. He never was going to be good enough. We still believe that this guy is better and is, better equipped to give us more ammunition above the Champions League and the league. And that, in essence, and I say this respectfully, that Eddie Nketiah has been blocking his way. Well, yeah, he has been blocking his way. He's blocking his way with Emery, and he's blocking his way. He's been blocking his way with Mick Arteta. But now Eddie's got his 3-year deal. He's got 2 years left of his deal, I believe. Sell. We could sell him as well. We can't have both of them at the football club. One's got to go.
Yeah,
simple.
Yep, and I'm in the camp. Y'all know me. I am in the camp of Eddie Nketiah. He needs to be sold immediately. Immediately, he should be off the books, and we need to go into another direction. Jez, then Monty, and then Tony. We're gonna go in that order. Jez, your thoughts on this Florian Balogun situation?
Florian Balogun. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, decent player, but let's be honest. That was in a Farmers League in France. So I'm not going to put too much meat on that one. But at the end of the day, has he got a place at Arsenal at this point in time? I'm not so sure. If somebody comes in after the tour of America and offers us a good wage or a good fee, let him go. End of story.
Monty, your thoughts, brother?
I am piggybacking off from Jez right here and saying that not only Nketiah but also Balogun should be assets to leave. And the irony is that Balogun is the type of player that Arsenal needs, not these vibe merchants like Holding and El Neni, who are only too happy to, in the words of a former lower league legend, John McDermott, are only too happy to sit in the reserves of the top club and pick up a big wage packet every week rather than at least go out on loan and play and make the most of their talent. And people like Balogun and Emi Martinez, which is also why he ended up leaving, if we have more players like them who have so much more ambition and who are willing to, improve themselves and improve the club, then football would be in a much better place, really. But we don't see that type of ambition for self-improvement from Eddie Nketiah. Certainly none from the likes of El Neni and Holding. Holding in particular has been a decent servant, but has not been the same since his ACL injury. And we had an opportunity to offload him for about 8 million quid. And instead, apparently, it looks as though we're giving him a new deal because Arteta loves his professionalism, his commitment and loyalty to the cause, and how apparently he sings rap songs and does card tricks to keep the boys united. I mean, what is going on here? I mean, are we all sitting around a campfire singing Kumbaya, or what exactly are we doing? I mean, we might as well end up doing that. But again, it's another idea that we just completely have our priorities, backwards. Completely. We just don't seem to want players who are willing to challenge each other and the club to be better. We're just happy to sort of have a bunch of yes men who will say yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir to practically everything. And when you have that sort of a situation, I get the team unity is important, but you also need to have people who are willing to challenge one another. And I know that Jez and Warren and Kenny will remember the days when even the stars of the team back in those good old days under Tony Adams and elsewhere had players who were willing to challenge each other to get better. Now it's as if everyone's just willing to fall in line and just, sing each other's praises and give the impression that everyone's united and doing really well. We all know that that's not going to get you too far. It will only get you so far. But circling back, we might end up, if we are lucky enough to get a good fee for Balogun and an opportunity for him to sort of play elsewhere, then sadly, as with the case of Martinez, it might be the best thing to, sell him rather than having him, stay at the club. And more's the pity. He's got ambition, he's got heart, he's got the desire to improve himself, and that is more of what we need. We don't need an Eddie Nketiah. We don't need a Rob Holding. We don't need El Neni. And yet we're going to end up stuck with these three stooges and others of their ilk for the next few years under this regime.
Tony Claude.
Yeah, see, mine is very simple. Eddie Nketiah, he needs to go. He needs to go. But we do have a very big problem, at the football club, and that's the wages. We signed these players, we re-signed them, but we also gave these players a big load of cash to, along with that contract. So when Kenny Ken says simple at the end of that statement, Ken, I'm sorry, it's not simple. Eddie Nketiah won't leave the football club, if the pay isn't right, because he's having it all comfortable at Arsenal. He doesn't have to score lots of goals. He's bagging 100 a week. Tell me why, in God's name, would that guy decide to leave the football club willingly when he's got a contract? He won't leave. I'm sorry. And it's not that simple, because the club have given this guy's contract and inflated their wages. People that maybe have more ambition, like Balogun, I want to see such people stay in the football club. Have anyone ever seen Balogun's hold-up play whenever he's playing? His hold-up play is amazing. He's grown from strength to strength. I watched a couple of games in France. Yeah. His energy, his tenacity, just that never say die attitude. Yeah, it could be a farmers league, but again, this guy has put in work and he's developed himself as a striker. I'll prefer to have Balogun at Arsenal than Eddie Nketiah. Yeah, and if there's anyhow they can do it, ship Eddie Nketiah down to West Ham. They want Eddie Nketiah. Now, this is where we need the negotiators, to do a good deal for us. Give Eddie Nketiah, you can even add him up there in that Declan Rice deal as a cherry on the top. Just throw him away to West Ham, and bring in Balogun and let Balogun come here, because I see fire in Balogun's eyes. See, after that match, I think against, is it not Canada? He came out and said, you know what, Football Club Arsenal, you guys have to play me or sell me. You have to play me or sell me. That's the kind of player I want at Arsenal. Someone that's got the guts, someone that has the fire to come out and say what he wants. And I'm sorry, that's Balogun. I want him to come, at the football club and be on the bench a little bit, be a big part player a little bit, and slowly ease him into that team. And I'm very sure he will set the league alight if we do give him the opportunity. But with people like Eddie Nketiah there, I'm sorry, man, it's a lost cause. Let's just cut our losses and send him down to West Ham, where he can be able to bag some goals for them. I think that's the best situation. And again, it's also very good that this week I'm also seeing someone like Rob Holding. Someone I've said this time and time without number, that I want this guy out of the football club. He's a lich on this football club. Wage-wise, on-field, outfield, I don't care what kind of unionism this guy brings to that team. I want him out of that football club. It's as simple as that. It was part of that calamity that made us, lost out the Premier League last season. So I want him out of the football club. And I want people like Timber, the guy that, the Dutch guy that I've been linked to come into this football club and get a decent salary while playing. That's what I want. I want fresh, young players, but young players that have already. So, let's go get these players. Eddie Nketiah out, Balogun stay, Timber come in and do a defensive job for us while Rob Holding can find a new club. It's as simple as that. We need to be going to the Champions League.
All right, fellas, we're going to get ready to round this thing off. What a great conversation this was today. I'm going to pose a question to everybody, and we're going to go around the panel here. Jess, we'll come with you first. The question is, what do you want to see Arsenal do with the remainder of this transfer window?
What do I want to see Arsenal do? I want to see Arsenal clear out the dross. And Nketiah's got to go. Holding, apparently, I saw something earlier today. Celtic are looking at 8 to 10 million. Holding. How true that is, I have no proof, but I saw something. Get the Rice deal done. We need him. I mean, personally, I'm sorry. I have to. I've been chatting to a few West Ham friends I know, and they've said, if you get in, mate, you've got the best. You have got the best. And he will be an amazing player at Arsenal Football Club with the players he would have around him. So, okay, that's great. We need to get rid of the serious crap out of his club. And Nketiah needs to go. He's just not Arsenal level. But as Manny was saying, he's on 100 grand a week. Unless the team's going to come in and say, well, you know, we want you and we'll give him that. He's going to sit and put his feet down and say, no, I'm happy here. So unless Arsenal force it, we're stuck with him. And he's another one on the wage bill that we could do without. And I've mentioned Holding. El Neni, I don't disrespect El Neni, but he's not levels.
Yeah.
Why have we still got Granit Xhaka here when he was talking about going back to Germany because his wife wants to go? What's happening there? That's a mystery. Thomas Partey, I rate highly. I'd like to keep him, but with Havertz coming in, is that him out the door? Great shame. Fabio Vieira, sorry, mate, go on loan. Build yourself up, eat a lot of steak and build yourself because you're not big enough, mate, for the Premier League. Get in that gym with Kenny. Kenny will give you a good workout. And we need a striker, people. We need a striker. Jesus is not an out-and-out striker. And we are going into the Champions League. We're going to be playing at the height of the season, 3-4 games a week at the peak. But we need to invest. Interestingly, are we in the fair play zone? We're not far off it. We're not far off it. So we need to have a massive, massive clear out of drops. And there's too many to mention. Too many poor decisions, too many poor investments. Will we get the players in we need with this transfer committee, Edu and the crowd? I doubt it. Can we spend way too easy on Kai Havertz at 65? Timber, don't know enough about him, but from what I've read, I've never seen him play. Sounds decent, but come on, let's be honest. We've signed players many times that sound decent and absolute capitulate and are absolute pile of shit. So clear out the crap. Clear out Arteta when he fucks it all up in November, December, and Edu can go with him. And my prediction, people, unless we get the players in we need for the Champions League and our other competitions, but we know come next season, if Arteta's there, he'll bottle the FA Cup as he does, which I think is totally disrespectful to the club. And if he's let's put it this way, come Christmas and we're like third in our group stage in the Champions League, he should be sacked. Fact. Gone. Bye-bye. And I'm hoping if he cocks it up, that is when the Arsenal fan base will turn and say, you got us Champions League. This is what we wanted. You've now absolutely cocked it up. You've got to leave. Goodbye. Your time's done. Adios.
Warren, brother, what would you like to see going into the last couple of months of this transfer window, brother?
Quite similar to Jez, actually. I want a massive clear out throughout the whole club, and I don't care if it's a transfer window or not. I'm willing to forego the first half of this season if we get the right people in place. I am. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm willing to forego the first half of this season if we clear out the likes of Edu, Arteta, Vinay, Richard Garlick, the two big boys up the top. I know that it's not likely to happen. It's highly unlikely. I want them out as well. But it's not going to happen before the transfer window closes. But we need a massive, massive clear out. I want to see the likes of Rob Holding and El Neni gone. I still don't understand why the hell we're getting rid of Thomas Partey. I just think it's absolutely ridiculous. Someone or several people at the club clearly have got absolutely piss poor decision-making skills. There's the issue of the treatment of injuries at this club. I want to know why it is that players come into this club never having suffered injuries before, and yet when they come into this club, they can't stop getting injured. Again, like Thomas Partey, before he came to Arsenal, he never got injured. Now that he's here, he's getting injured all the time. What the hell's going on? Why is it? I think there might be an issue with the training ground with regards to that after a conversation I had with a mate of mine about the training pitches there. In terms of bringing people in, I think we need at least one centre-back, possibly two, high quality, so that if Saliba or his partner get injured or missing, that we can bring people in and not have to rely on the likes of Rob Holding, who just wasn't good enough. We need one or two midfielders, and I believe, still need one or two world-class strikers. I just don't think that, despite his hard work, I don't think that Jesus is good enough. His strike rate last season proved it. And the recruitment, I'm sorry, I just find it ridiculous that we're not able to finalise deals season after season after season, window after window after window. We miss out on our main targets. We've got someone in trying to negotiate the contracts who couldn't close the door, to be quite frank. Never mind close the transfer deal. So, yeah, for me, there needs to be a massive, massive clear out. And like I said, I'm willing to forgo the first half of this season up until January so that we can sort this mess out and get this club back on track, because I'm seriously concerned about what's going to happen next season, because I can see all of our competitors getting stronger, and I think we're going to get weaker unless something dramatic happens. And I honestly believe that we're going to struggle to finish in the top four the way things are. And I can see us getting dumped out of the Champions League. If we're lucky, we'll end up in the Europa League. If not, we'll be out of Europe completely. Because I've just got no confidence in the management of this club. I just think it's an absolute shambles, and I've never seen anything like it. So I know it sounds a bit downbeat and whatnot, but sometimes in order to improve, you got to go take a step backwards, and I'm quite happy to do that as long as we do make the right appointments. So that's my assessment of it.
Outstanding. Monty, your thoughts, brother?
I just hope that we. I'm at the stage right now, Matt, where I'm just hoping that we at least get some decent signings to make up for the inevitable debacle that will be the Declan Rice saga. But once again, we've got another Chelsea cast-off. It wouldn't surprise me if we go for other people who supposedly might fit the the picture at Arsenal, but in theory, but end up not doing so. I fear we could have another Willian on our hands, and it will be very interesting to see how we start this season, because one thing that we have had going in our favor last season was that we started well, and we took the phrase "well begun is half done" a little bit too literally, because in the crucial moments we were just completely found wanting. And what a lot of people seem to forget is that last season was a crazy season completely, with the World Cup taking place in December. And I'm sure we can all agree that if we never have the World Cup taking place in December again, it will be too soon, because it completely mucks up the schedules of clubs all around Europe and the players in question, and teams end up suffering for it. You can see how the likes of even Aston Villa, who were terrible before the World Cup under Steven Gerrard and saw him get sacked, they ended up finishing the season in 7th place with a European spot. And had it not been for a few instances of bad luck or poor tactical play, they could have ended up with a Europa League position themselves. And Emery would be a shoe-in, in my opinion, for Manager of the Year. And City, of course, were dire during the first half of that season, contriving to lose to Brentford at home. They went on to win. So this is going to be a season where our true potential will be seen, because other teams are not going to have the distraction of a World Cup affecting them and other things affecting them this upcoming season. We're going to see if our great start last season and the momentum we maintained was either genuine or just a fluke. We do have an easy enough start with a home tie against Nottingham Forest. I'm getting Reece Nelson vibes here. And of course, I don't know if we've discussed Reece Nelson. The fact that he's now getting a new contract and being encouraged to stay, I mean, it adds to the intrigue. It's clear to me that Arsenal see him as a reliable backup for our star boy, Bukayo Saka. But what if he ends up getting very few minutes and ends up, wanting a little bit more? Do we end up deciding to sell him later on? Hopefully, if players are going to be given multi-year contracts, it will mean that they will be looked to be sold on after a season if things don't go well. But again, the club, when it comes to some of these players, we're ruthless on players who will add value to the team, and not so ruthless on players who really aren't anywhere near as consistent or ambitious. So I just hope that we can just get a decent enough transfer window and get some more signings in than what we have now, and at least try and make a fist of things. But in all likelihood, we're not going to progress from the group stage of the Champions League. We won't progress far enough in the cup competitions, and it'll once again be the same story where we mount a strong enough fight for the league, but end up falling short because of injuries or poor squad depth, and the whole cycle will start all over again. My only hope is that at the end of the season, if we do not win any trophies, then the club's fans decide, the emperor has no clothes. We've seen everything for what it is. We have to make sure that there is change, and we now agree that enough is enough. We can't afford to let Arteta and this regime continue to cook and serve us some absolute rubbish while calling it a roast dinner. That's all I can hope for. But as a great Irish poet once said, hope and history have to rhyme, and yet it seems they seldom do.
Kenny.
I've agreed with a lot of what everyone says, but I just talk from a footballing point of view. There's areas of the squad that, towards the end, cost us big time. Like I said, the midfield ran out of legs. Defensively, we were out of legs as well. So unless we sort the midfield defence, we're going to be in trouble. And let's not just take for granted as well that everything's all right up top. It's not going to be all right up top. As we've known, teams are going to come up thick and fast. The World Cup, did kind of mess the season up. It probably affected every team. But with other squads getting stronger now, we Arsenal have to follow suit and strengthen their spine. We need some competition for Ramsdale. Let's not forget he had a few Willie Young moments as well. So there's areas where he's got to elevate his performances. We know Benjamin White finished pretty weak last season. Midfield, if we're going to get rid of Thomas Partey and Conor Xhaka, if we don't sort out the midfield and get players who are just as good, if not better than what we've got, then we will not challenge for anything. We will struggle even to get out to the group stage of the Champions League, and we'll probably finish maybe 5th or 6th. That midfield area is a big concern for me, just as much as defence and centre forwards. Unless we strengthen our spines better. But let me tell you something now. I'm going to give you a new strategy. If you think you can replace what Thomas Partey gave us last season for most of that season, then I think people need to revise that, because there's not many good midfielders out there like Thomas Partey. You know, there's a Granit Xhaka industry as we speak of saying, "Oh, he did this, and did that." Without Thomas Partey in the team, Granit Xhaka wouldn't even have got there on the team. Odegaard would never have performed like he did, and even then, he didn't really perform in the games we want him to perform. Without Thomas Partey securing that middle, you know, he's going to be so difficult to replace. You take away the games where, you know, he didn't perform, the team didn't perform. You think about whose performance has got us in that position in the first place. He'll be a massive loss unless we get someone of equal caliber. Unless we get Declan Rice, we get another midfielder. Because we're not just getting rid of Thomas Partey's potential, we're getting rid of his experience as well. Now, Lavia, how old's Lavia? 20, 21?
19.
19. Well, then again, up and coming, but not
Project Youth.
Yeah, again, but is he going to give us the experience and knowledge? Because you don't know the game inside out like Thomas Partey did at his age. He was 30. We're seeing him at his age 30. This guy's 19, so we're waiting for him to grow. That's not good.
Yeah,
that's really, really poor. And then the more you get players like Lavia, the more you get players like if you don't, and you get Declan Rice in, the more likely Granit Xhaka is going to stay, because there's an open goal to keep Granit Xhaka if we get Lavia. Oh, we need him for experience. We need him around the club.
Exactly.
When really, truly, it's a case of he wants to go to Germany. Off you go then, mate. Bye. Thanks for last season, your best season ever. You know, one good season out of 7. You know, we'll forget the frustration we had before. I want him out of the team, not for footballing reasons, because I will feel that we need to evolve the side and move away from the top 4 mentality.
Yeah.
Best way to get rid of him. But if I look at Lavia and I'm thinking, yeah, you had a good season, but I'd rather have someone with more experience than Lavia if we don't get Casado.
Yeah, I agree. We really need to that midfield. I'm just sitting here thinking about Kai Havertz in that midfield. And when we run up against these offensive teams, it is going to be some tap dance. It's going to be like Gregory Hines in that midfield, tap dancing all over the place, because we are going to be. I mean, I don't think people understand. It's like y'all say about Thomas Partey. I mean, just look at the last stretch of games when he wasn't playing. I mean, we just completely fell apart when he went in the midfield. I'm not talking about right back and all that. That doesn't count. I'm talking about in the middle of the pitch. And it seemed like, gentlemen, for years, we all cried out, defensive midfielder. Then you finally get one. And then here we are back. It seems like we're going around in circles with this team. It's what I'm starting to notice a pattern. We fix it and then we tear it up again, and we fix it and we tear it up and we tear it up, and we just keep going on and on and on. Tony, take us home, brother.
Yeah, it's quite simple. Arsenal need to prepare to play with an entirely new midfield in this new season, the upcoming season. We have to be expecting Granit Xhaka to be leaving the football club. Thomas Partey will be leaving too. That leaves us with only one experienced player for Arsenal in the middle of the park. Now, that's a big recipe for disaster, you know, in my own evaluation and of course experience of me covering the Premiership. But the thing there is that the reason Granit Xhaka hasn't left the football club, let's be very sincere. Ask yourselves, Bayer Leverkusen will never give Granit Xhaka the kind of money, the kind of wages he's commanding out there. Yeah, it's not a surprise. That's why he hasn't left the football club. That guy won't leave the riches he have right now at Arsenal and leave to Bayer Leverkusen, where that Arsenal at least accepting to pay part of the money that he's getting out here for them to transfer that money for him back at Bayer Leverkusen. That's the reason he's here. We've overinflated this contract, and that's why Arsenal can't offload these guys. That's the bigger picture, and that's what we're failing to understand. That these guys will never leave the football club unless there's compensations and words being said about their salary that they're going to be getting in their new clubs. So players like Rob Holding, players like Eddie Nketiah, players like even Thomas Partey. I'm sorry, Arsenal would have to cover part of that robust amount of wages to Juventus. This is a big problem that Arsenal will be facing. So right now, we're not just in the battle of just bringing in players. We're also in the battle of also getting players out of this football club and also paying for the wages to get them off the football club. So as you could see, like my brothers in America would say, or like Manny, that follows American politics very, very well, it will be the battle for the soul of the club, if you would like to say. But you know what, yeah? It's very simple. Arsenal we always still have a plan B. We have a chance. If you're thinking of bringing a new striker, forget it. We already have a new striker. Suck it up, yeah? We already have Kai Havertz. That's what it is right now. There's no striker coming in, so let's don't deceive ourselves. Let's be realist out here. See, but Arsenal have a way of actually locking up this thing and putting up that good PR. This is what we have to do. Simple. Go, cut that check. Cut that check for Rice. My brother Matt would say, cut that check. We better go in and cut that check for Declan Rice. That's the key. That's the number one thing. Go in there. Don't dilly-dally. Don't put up smoking mirrors. Don't haggle with the price. Just go. The kid already wants us to play. Go to West Ham. Tell them, I'm sorry, we've disrespected you enough. Go there, throw that £100 million bid and get our guy. Go in and get that money, put it in the private chart for those of you who wanted to see that little information they put down there about Timber, the Dutch guy coming in. See, yeah, guys, Arsenal, you don't need to haggle over this. Go and pay up to Ajax of Amsterdam and get this guy to come in. It's simple. Go in for this guy. Get this guy to the football club. You see, it's not just about, the little clips we see about this guy on the internet. This guy can really do it. How about going and getting this guy and bringing him to the team? It's simple. Just cut the check. Edu, cut the check. It's simple. Cut the check. I rest my case.
Gentlemen, this has been a wonderful conversation, man. I have thoroughly enjoyed listening to everybody's take this morning, man. This is definitely this needs to be put on replay, needs to be shared, because this was a panel of common sense, as somebody said in the chat. So, gentlemen, I appreciate you all for coming. Jez, where can everybody find you at, brother?
Arsenal History and More channel. Great what was it, Thursday night?
That's a good quiz show.
Great fun. The quiz, it was so much fun. Kenny Ken got his crown back. It was so close. Come on, Kenny, 132 points. That's an outrageous. Anti Herbert 131. I mean, fair play to the fella. But yeah, it's all the Arsenal history crap, match reviews, whatever. At the moment, it's difficult to find stuff to talk about. I'm not going to copy everybody else, follow the sheet about transfers and all that. So, thanks, mate, for inviting me on. Warren, thank you last night for your show. That was amazing. And thanks to you guys for putting all your content out there.
Nice. Tony Claude, where can people find you, brother?
Yeah, guys, see, Matt, thanks for bringing me to your show, man. It's always a big pleasure sitting around Jazz, Manny also. I really respect you that much. Ken, you too, big ups to you. And of course, Warren. And Warren, it's also nice seeing you live and kicking, man. I just like you when you talk and when you just open your heart and talk about Arsenal. Big pleasure being around here with you. See you guys. You can join me on Tony Claude Gunner TV. This coming season happens to be one of the most... See, it will be an incredible season, yeah. It will be one that I want Arsenal to really win at least some couple of titles. So come on board, come join us. Jez is always on my channel. Matt is always on my channel. Manny, I hope next season me and Manny will be able to put up lots of content because Manny, I really need you on the channel quite much. And Uncle Kenny, it would be nice for you to, come around there and, just come and give us
the drill, Tony. You call, I come running.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, guys, please just join me on Tony Claude Gunner TV. And, of course, catch me and the Southern Gunner on our transfer show, I think next week.
Next week.
On the channel. See, man, it's going to be hot. It's going to be fire. You know what me and Matt, want to do something. It's going to be blazes all around. So, guys, you better join us for that one. And also, I'll be having the second leg of that one, that particular transfer show on my own channel the next week. So, guys, just subscribe to everyone who is here. Jez's channel. Catch Manny also on Instagram. And also, Kenny Ken is always on Instagram in the world of sports down there. And, of course, in Warranting's Talk, very, very important. Big ups to everyone. Thank you.
Yep. Money. Tell everybody where they can find you, brother.
Yeah, first of all, Mr. Odom, thank you very much indeed for having me on. Always a pleasure to come on your channel. I've enjoyed the occasions I've come on, and I hope that this will be one of many, many more. Really, really appreciate it. Big up as well to the amazing panel. I've done streams with every one of them. Really enjoyed our conversations. We're realist fans. We say it as it is. We never try to mince our words, and we can't have the wool pulled over our eyes, and that is one reason why I absolutely love this group. And I couldn't miss an opportunity to be a part of this, but I am once again sorry for being late, because once again, lateness is not greatness. No YouTube channel of my own still, but you can definitely catch me on social media. My Instagram handle is mannythangatherai1981. You can see my full name on the bottom left corner. Add 1981, and you can find me on Instagram. If you want to catch me on Twitter discussing Arsenal and trying to fend off a few puerile attacks from the Arteta in crowd, then it's Thangatherai1981, which is my surname and my year of birth. You can catch me on several channels on YouTube. Shout out to Del Boy Gunner TV and others. I'm also doing quite a bit of work with another channel called Coach's Corner on the cricket that's taking place. We've got the Ashes coming up, and I know that's something that Kenny enjoys immensely, and we've had some discussions on it going on. And there is some similarity in a way between the England cricket team's approach, otherwise known as Bazball, and how we seem to be willing to go, hammer and tongs at everyone, but don't have the balance or the common sense to know when to wind it in a bit. So interesting times ahead in the world of sport away from the Arsenal, and that is something which gives us a great deal of peace, I would say. Elsewhere on YouTube, you can find me on other places, but now you can also find me here on the Southern Gooner. And as I've said to Tony, Matt, you call, I come running, even if I might end up showing up panting a bit. That's why I end up muting my mic, so you don't have to hear that.
Good. Kenny, we gotta get your YouTube channel, man. We gotta get the YouTube.
You know what? I'm enjoying myself. I think I found my niche on sort of Instagram, doing the odd video from the match and just commenting on material. The Daily Mail in the UK is fantastic. It's what the Sun was about 20 or 30 years ago. It just comes out instant. But, in terms of what Manny said about, you can find me at Kenny Ken 1972. I am enjoying the Ashes. I think Bazball is here to stay, but it needs to be tweaked a bit because, next week at Lord's, England cannot afford to lose that test match. If they lose the second test, then they will not win the Ashes. The Ashes will be over, and what will happen is that it could be 3 or 4-0 if England lose the second test. So England have to find a way to win. And most importantly as well is that if you want flat wickets, make sure they're fast. Can't have flat wickets that are slow and pudding bowls.
Nice. Warren, it's good to see you, brother. Tell everybody where they can find you, man.
Well, first of all,
Hold on, Warren. Before you talk, make sure everybody in the chat, you go watch that his part 2 of his Stan Kroenke out video. You got to go and watch that. I mean, he breaks that down to the T. Make sure you check that out, everybody.
thank you very much, Matt. And also thank you very much for inviting me on today. I've really enjoyed it. A lot of sense has been spoken. And I'm glad to have had the opportunity to be part of it. Now, anyway, you can find me on Warren's Team Talk. I recently, as Matt mentioned, did a video about Mr. Stanley Kroenke and his son Josh, and I'm going to be continuing to do that because I firmly believe that they are a massive problem at this club, and we need to get new owners. Because I just don't think they're serious. I just think that all they're interested in is using it as a tool to make as much money as they possibly can. I just do not think they're interested about the club. There is a petition on there that you can sign, an online petition. So if you want the Kroenkes out, please make sure that you do that. It's an online petition. It's very simple. To sign it. If you can't find it, let me know. You can contact me on my email, which is warrensteamtalk@gmail.com. Other than that, just message me on Instagram. It's Warren's Team Talk. On Wednesday, I'll be on Diesel's channel doing my paranormal stuff. I'm doing a Q&A about paranormal and conspiracy theories, which is always good fun. And so I'm doing this campaign to try and affect positive change at the club. I'm not going to be doing it all the time because it is very draining and it's emotionally upsetting. But I'm not giving it. I'm not giving in. I'm just determined to give fans the opportunity to have their say about it and get the club back to the way it was before. And I have to try. I can't just sit by and see it going down the toilet. I really can't. So yeah, that's me. I did a brilliant stream last night with Jez about what football was like in the 80s and the 90s, and I really enjoyed it, and I think Jez did too. So please go and check that out because it was a good chat, and both Jez and I think really enjoyed it. So,
Warren, sorry to cut in, but there's two things that changed football in the 80s and 90s: Italian 90, Euro 96. Simple. I'm not sure it's for the better.
No. Good point.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Good point.
Awesome. Make sure I just did a video this past week about the Arsenal PR Patrol. Make sure you go check that out. I got a lot of inbox messages about that one. So make sure you check that out. And like, share, and subscribe. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for joining us today. And we're out. Peace.